Good morning. Welcome. My name is Sean Briscoe. This is CLSB Politics. Today is part 4 of my 25 part series on Project 2025. We're going to be talking about the taking partisan control of the DOJ, FBI, Department of Commerce, the FCC, and the FTC. So, we'll do one at a time. So, Donald Trump is obviously, a convicted criminal, right? His love affair with the Department of Justice is any Department of Justice big enough that he can hold it into a bathtub and drown it. That's the size he's looking for, or just a bunch of toadies that will do his beck and call. All of this is really bad. If you want people ending up in camps, this is the first step in that process. Um, he literally tried to do this when he was president. He tried to take over the Department of Justice. He was told in no uncertain terms that if he made a move against the Department of Justice, that there would be the whole government would come down on him because it'd be illegal. Well, now that's changed thanks to right wing crazy, absolutely insane Supreme Court. That has now become a thing. You can just say it's an official act. And that's the end of that game. So he can do official act all day in the Department of Justice. He can replace anyone he doesn't like as an official act with the Department of Justice. Anything he does is not illegal because he is president. That is the reality in which we are living. And a perfect example of a president who doesn't do that is Joe Biden. His son, bought a weapon illegally, had a lot of drug issues, a lot of personal problems with addiction. And, Lord knows that we've all had friends that have had problems with addiction. Yeah, it's a thing, and it's a wicked thing. And he got stuck in it, and it makes you do some pretty, makes you make bad decisions. But the most important thing was his dad, who was president, and literally could have appointed a special prosecutor, he could have put his little thumb on the scale in really, really, really minor ways, and he didn't. Well, that's not going to be the case with Trump. Trump wants to release all the January 6th rioters, which is insane because those are called domestic terrorists, flat out. So, those are the things he wants to do with the Department of Justice. So he wants to be able to fire anyone he wants and hire anyone he wants. And we've already seen the people that he hires. 30 of them currently are writing the document that this whole entire series of videos is based on with Project 2025. 31 members of his former administration were involved in this. Yeah. So that's the Department of Justice. Those are the guys who take the cases and then, adjudicate them. Then there's the FBI, the actual guys who do the investigations and choose which, they don't necessarily get to choose the investigation they're doing, but they definitely get to choose how deep they dig and what resources they can manage to put forward towards that investigation. And that's huge. Obviously. So having partisan control of the FBI would be catastrophic. For one thing, he could tell the FBI, and he wouldn't really even have to tell them because he could just appoint whoever he wants, and it's an official act. No problem. And they can go in and prosecute anybody they want. NCAA, any of the organizations trying to prevent women's rights from being taken away, because they'll just ID them as some domestic terrorist group, even though they're trying to get health care for women. Not exactly a terrorist operation. So yeah, that's kind of nuts. Just being able to control the FBI that way would be, for one thing, it would undermine any support the public would have. And you ask any public servant, their when stuff's going down, their best source is the general public. But if that general public is frightened of their organization, as they would likely be, then you're not gonna. It is not a thing. And one day, I'm going to remember to silence my phone. I'm a baby YouTuber. I'm still figuring this out. So that's the FBI. There's a lot more you could say about it. It's really, really bad. How they work with police departments and cities would change, and not in a good way. They would be able to go after any of his political rivals, and it would be an official act. Done. So then it brings me to the Department of Commerce. Now this is actually going out to all those, I call them econ bros. And I have some very good friends of mine that are full on econ bros. They're just like, the stock market's all that matters. We're the best country in the world, and we need to maintain a certain level of this and that and this and that. I'm like, okay, cool. And fiduciary responsibility and all that jazz. Weirdly, a lot of them, hardly any of them identify themselves as Republicans, because, the Republicans are so bad with the economy. I mean, it's not even, you can't even compare the number of jobs created and what the stock market does under a Democratic administration versus one that's a Republican administration. It's not even the same ballpark. There's actually, you can Google it. It's very clear. So even it has gotten through their heads that that it's that it's not a good policy to have Republicans in control of the economy. Well, when they get in charge of the Department of Commerce, and they can just put any partisan hack they want to put in there. Like if the French president or the German president, prime minister says something not cool about Trump, which was highly likely, and it'll be behind closed doors on a hot mic or something, right? Or Trump will just feel dissed because, that's a great feeling to operate the international economy. Well, he can go to this Department of Commerce and go, hey man, official act, tariffs, burn it to the ground. He can do that. And his little cronies, talking heads, will be more than happy to go do that for him. Not cool. And that's the Department of Commerce in a nutshell. We are the largest economy on the planet. Everyone's like, oh, China. China's in world trouble. They're running out of people. Their labor costs have gone up 1,200%. So the only reason that they're operational is because that's where the manufacturing infrastructure is that we've helped build over the last, since 1985. We're the largest economy. If the United States gets a sniffle, the rest of the world gets Ebola. It is not even a competition. You could take the entire EU, combine it, and it still does not equal the economy of the United States. So when you have a dictator putting sycophants into the Department of Commerce, well, that's the perfect recipe for an economic downturn. Because what you need there is experts. People who will tell the president what's what. Not candy coat things, or just not even tell them at all, because, Trump's real good at shooting the messenger. So that's just, for all the econ bros out there, that's the end of your world. A to Z. The decisions that are made there will complete. And if you think they're going to be hands off and let the markets decide. No, they want the markets to decide what they want. That's how that works. I live in Texas, believe me. Everyone's like, oh, local control, until that locale says, no, we don't want fracking. Guess what? That's when the Republicans stepped in and made fracking everywhere, including your backyard and your backyard and your backyard. It's everywhere. And that was not what these counties, which, by the way, represent the vast majority of the population of the state and also the vast majority of the economy of the state, wanted. So there you go. Okay, which brings me to the FCC. Well, so right now, news and communications is kind of weird, right? We all know that there's like 4 or 5 companies that, have majority stockholdership in various different media entities, right? So it's already really bad. Well, what this would do is this would make it even worse. Like, he would have cronies in there not renewing licenses for civilian media unless they play ball. I mean, that's a fundamental operating necessity for these organizations. They have to have that. They have to have a license in order to operate. And that would not be the case. So, just from a fundamental operations standpoint, having a sycophant in those positions where they would be able to say, you know what, these guys disagree with the president, so we're not going to renew their license. And that's what would happen. Or they would just drag it out and go, oh, well, you're going to have to wait. Maybe we'll give you a supplemental one and see how you behave. So if that's the kind of world you want to live in, good luck. I mean, this YouTube thing could change. It's insane. And it's absolutely within the realm of possibility. So, yeah. This is bad news all the way around. And it would definitely affect telecommunications. I mean, it's pretty obvious that, we have the processing capability to monitor communications, right? It's technically without a court order, it's illegal to monitor a U.S. citizen's communications. Now, there's weird little workarounds, like if I'm, let's say an American is communicating with some foreigner in some other country, and the FBI is and the CIA, FTC, whoever is monitoring that information, well, then, yeah, you're going to get caught up in that. And that's just, well, what are you going to do? It's 21st century. But what they don't do is they don't target Americans. And I know there's a lot of conspiracy stuff about this, but normally, they don't target Americans. So, yeah, that would all change as well. So Project 2025 is the worst piece of right-wing nonsense I've ever read. All 900 pages. Like I said earlier, I'd like to melon scoop that out of my brain when I'm done with all these videos. Because I literally think it was weird. I left that document more educated on how terrible the Trump administration was going to be. But also somehow less smart. I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy, but that actually happened. I learned stuff, and then I think it killed brain cells. So I hope this helps. If you know anybody who's like pro-economy, send them this. Tell them, hey, listen, Department of Commerce, you do not want to play with. It becomes partisan, and it doesn't matter what you think. It's what those idiots think. And then you're done. So, well, and hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to share and like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Really appreciate it. It helps. All right. I'll talk to you later.